I've been drinking Lipton out the faucet. I'm in love with Houston, Atlanta, Austin. What's up, my dude? Spency Boy back on MXM. Oh my gosh. We're getting back into it, guys. I know there's a ton of you MX Sim fans that are wondering where the hell I've been on this game for the past like 2 years. I've not really had internet, man. I've been working off of a hotspot, so we finally got fiber. We got that shit going. We're going to get back into the custom track making and the multiplayer racing and the streaming and all that good stuff. So, anyways, with this video, we're going to be taking a look at the new 2023 RF Atlanta Speedway Supercross track. RF, this is how you do it, bro. I know there's a lot of you guys out there that think I just have this endless hate for RF, and no matter what kind of tracks they make, I'm just going to come in here and shit on their chest. Like, it doesn't matter what they do. You know, I'm just going to go in here and complain about the track and the Erode system, and that's all I'm ever going to do. You know, a lot of people think that's what it is, but it's not, bro. It's not, dog. When they'll come in here and finally make something that's worth a shit, I'll come in here and tell you, bro. And that's exactly what this track is right here. It's the same way with their Daytona track this year. For some reason, their Speedway tracks, look at this quad right here, bro. For some reason, their Speedway tracks that they've been making for the past couple years, it's like they're just as good as any other RF track that's ever been made, really. You know, they feel like that old school, that what I think of when I think of MX Simulator RF track designs, that's what these tracks are. And whatever else they're doing on their normal Supercross tracks that are not Speedway tracks, I don't know what the fuck that is, but it's totally different than what this is right here. You know, for some reason, their Speedway tracks, it's like they're not scared to do some pre-made ruts. They're not scared to put a little bit of character on the track. It's like these tracks have 5 times more skill gap and bigger jump rhythms that are actually worth hitting because they're actually faster. You know, you got a little bit of roughness. You got some kind of substance to the track. And then you go and get on their other Supercross tracks, their normal in-stadium Supercross tracks, and they're boring as hell. They're basic as hell. Like, RF, when are you going to understand this? I just don't. It's like you're obviously capable of it. Why don't you do any of this on your other Supercross tracks? I don't understand it. When I get back on, like, your Daytona of this year or your Atlanta Speedway track of this year, it's like I fall all back in love with the game again. I'm like starting to think I might want to pro race again. Like it sparks all that stuff back up. That's how good these tracks really are. That's how much depth they really, even the whoops. Like, for some reason, it's like they just chose to make these whoops on this track right here to that kind of level where it actually takes a little bit of skill to get through them. You can't just, you know, close your eyes and sip your tea and expect to get through these whoops right here. You got to be paying somewhat attention on what you're doing, which is totally different than most of the whoop sections that they've had on all of those other normal Supercross tracks this year. I don't know what it is, guys. I can't figure it out. I don't know what it is, but it's like, it just seems like I've just been in here constantly hating on everything they're doing with their tracks, no matter what they're doing, and I'm just constantly hating on the Erode system because I don't like terrain deformation or some weird shit like that, but that's not the truth. I love terrain deformation when it's actually good and it feels like it belongs in the game and it feels like it was made for the engine of the game. You guys have heard me talk about how much I liked the terrain deformation system on MX bikes and Reflex. I feel like with Reflex, the terrain deformation system in that game, that's some of the best racing experiences you can have in any dirt bike game ever, is going in there and running max laps on Reflex with that terrain deformation system. I think MX Bikes is, you know, terrain deformation system. Speedy Boy, get a little pop-off right here. Check that quad out, dude. Like, where are these quads on your other tracks, RF? I need to know. You need to let me know, dog. Like, where are they? You got, like, 2 or 3 bigger quad jumps on this track right here that are faster. They can separate you from other players. You feel like you are basically back riding on like a 2017 style track before you ever even started doing the Erode system, where you started making the tracks around the Erode system and making them way more basic and boring and like no pre-made, you know what I'm saying? This is like you just took a little step back in time and you just skipped all that bullshit that RF has been doing for the past few years, and you went back and basically made like a 2017 style track. That's pretty much what their Speedway tracks have been. I'm just like, RF, how can you not see this, bro? How can you not feel this when you're riding on the track, man? I just don't understand how you can go from like your Glendale track that was so much easier, so much more basic, so much more simplistic. Then you go to something like this that actually has substance and ruts and roughness and character and, you know, separation, and it's just got all of it, man. Fun jump rhythms, bigger quads. I mean, there was some quads on their Glendale track, but they weren't even faster to hit. That's the big problem with a lot of their other Supercross tracks. Like, they're not even faster. But look at this quad right here. It's faster to hit. It's really skill gap to hit. If you come up short, you're going to pop off. These whoops, you know, they've got that 2017 style where it's like you got to be wide open. You got to stay on top of them. If you start slowing down in between of them, or you start trying to sissy out a little bit in between them, you're just going to flip over the bike. They have that real skill-gapped whoop feeling to them where it's kind of, you know, it gets into that you either got to go for them or you got to roll through them. Switzy Boy rapping out here. That's what a real whoop section feels like in a simulator. It's like you're either going for them or you're rolling through them. There shouldn't be any in between, really. And a lot of your other Supercross tracks in the stadiums that you've been making, you can just go through them any speed that you want. You can let off the gas. It don't even matter because they're rolled off. They're smoothed off and the dirt's too soft. But for some reason, this track right here, it's just like it's like you get a little peek back into what they used to do with their track designs back before the Erode system, when they actually had to care about making the pre-made something. You know, they had to care a little bit about making the on-track something because they didn't have that Erode crutch to lean on and be like, well, you know, we'll just let the Erode system do everything. It's just like, bro, this track is so much fun right here. And I love whenever they come in here and prove what they can do, because they're basically proving that they're just being lazy on all of their other tracks. It can't just be that they're thinking, oh, well, the terrain deformation system is going to do exactly what the pre-made is doing. There's no fucking way that they can be thinking that. There's just no way. They can't be that stupid. I mean, I don't know. But it really makes you sit down and think a little bit. It makes you sit down and sip your tea and think a little bit. It's like, if you're going to put all this pre-made on your Speedway tracks, right, which you're also running the Erode system on, but then you're not going to have any pre-made ruts or roughness at all on your non-Speedway tracks, it's almost in a roundabout way, RF, like you're basically saying that the terrain deformation is going to do exactly what the pre-made does. That's pretty much in a nutshell what you're saying by doing it that way. And that's what I'm saying by it doesn't make any sense at all, because if you've ever played this game with the Erode system, you know it's nothing like the pre-made ruts. It's nothing like the pre-made ruts and roughness and character. So it's just bizarre to see them do that. You know, it's like, if you're going to have pre-made ruts on something like this, then you would obviously have pre-made ruts on your other Supercross tracks. It's not just like they magically only have these kind of ruts on the Speedway tracks, and they don't have ruts like that on the normal Supercross. Like, it doesn't even make any sense, bro. But it's like RF's kind of like they're trying to say, well, we're trying to make this track where, you know, the pre-made ruts are on there, and it'll somehow, you know, like make, you know, it'll somehow make like more of a rougher track, like a motocross style track or something like that. It's kind of like that's what they're trying to say by having the pre-made on the Daytonas and the outdoor tracks and the you know, any of the Speedway tracks. It's like they're trying to make it seem like, well, this is more like motocross. But what I'm trying to say is there's no replacement for pre-made. I don't care what the fuck setting you have the terrain deformation on or what you think you're doing with it, but it's not going to be able to make what the pre-made makes. Let me give you an example here. Just imagine this track right here. For all of you boys that have rode on this track, just imagine if they would have came through here and smoothed off all of the ruts, all of the pre-made, where the track was perfectly smooth around the entire track, and they smoothed off the whoops, and they made it where you couldn't hit any quads on the track. Just imagine that in your head. How much worse this track would be right here if they did that. Okay, that's exactly what they're doing on all of the other normal Supercross tracks that are not Speedway tracks. Do you see my point? That's exactly what they're doing. That's my whole point. Like, regardless if you're running the Erode system, you need to have these kind of quad jumps. You need to have this kind of skill gap. You need to have this kind of pre-made and these kind of whoops and this kind of character on all of your other Supercross tracks. And you just simply don't have that. For some weird-ass reason. RF, why? Why? I'm like down on my hands and knees right now begging you. Like, what are you doing? Like, just do some of this on your normal Supercross tracks. And you'll thank me later, bro. Nothing was the same, bro. If you're reading this, it's too late, dude. I'm telling you, this game will start popping off again. If you start doing all these little things that you used to do with your tracks back before 2018... you know, but now you can only do it on the Speedway tracks, and you can only do it on the motocross outdoor national tracks. For some reason, I'm just telling you, it's killing all of your replayability and single player fun and skill gap and everything to your normal Supercross tracks. MX Simulator was made for this right here. It was made for pre-made. It was made for ruts. And I ain't talking about just Erode ruts. One giant singular Erode rut. That's not what I'm talking about. When I get back on a track like this, it's just like you just get that feeling. You just get that, this is what MX Simulator was supposed to feel like. I didn't get that feeling at all on your Glendale track. This is the whole thing I've been saying this whole time, bro. Switzy boy just, it just kills me. They're just missing out on so much. This game is such a good game. But for some reason, they have put the Erode system on such a pedestal that they feel like they can't even do any pre-made on any of their other Supercross tracks or big lines or big whoops or anything like that, because, oh my God, maybe the Erode system is going to make the track too hard if we make the base track too hard. I don't know what the hell they're doing, guys. I don't know. But here we go again. RF's proven to you they can make a banger-ass track, like a 2017 style awesome track that's a lot of fun in single player, multiplayer, two guys, Erode on or off. It don't really matter. This track is still fun. Like, man, I just hope this goes to show you that I really don't just have this thing out for hating on all these RF tracks, man. the proof's in the pudding of the actual feeling of the track. I just feel like some of you boys, you're not even deep enough into this game to even understand it. It's like, this is a pro-level track right here. That Glendale shit, that was not a pro-level track. It's just totally different, man. It's two totally different things. Like, look at this right here. See that? See how it popped off? You see that shit? That's what's supposed to happen. Either way, this one right here, I'm giving this track like a 8 overall. Difficulties like medium to hard. That Glendale track was like a 4 out of 10, and the difficulty was easy. So you can see the difference right there. It's just like, I don't know, that I can just put so much more time into a track like this. I can sink my teeth so much deeper into it, and it makes me get right back into the game like I used to be. But that's why I just can't get into it like that with their standard, non-speedway tracks that are not motocross tracks. They're normal in-stadium supercross tracks. That's why I can't get into them, man. There's just nothing to them. And if you can't feel that difference, between this track right here and their Glendale track, then I don't know what the hell else to tell you. Like, if you can't feel that difference of skill gap and separation and replayability and fun factor and jump lines and shit, then you're probably not fast enough, or you're probably not on a 450, or the combination of the two, or you haven't played this game long enough. You don't understand the differences, man. But it is a totally different stratosphere. It's a totally different animal. Like, you can just carry so much more speed. There's so much more potential for separation. And I understand this is a speedway track, but that shouldn't even matter. Because back in the pre-2018 days, like back in the 2017 days, this is how the normal Supercross tracks felt. It didn't matter if you were on a speedway track or not. They had this kind of skill gap. They had these kind of rhythm lines. They had this kind of separate. They had all this shit. That's my whole point, man.